we're going to be focusing this video on a 2002 Hasbro made Woody. So you can see it's all put together. Literally it's made in one piece, so this whole head and body assembly is actually made as one piece of almost like plastic that holds everything together. On the back, literally it's just got a tied ringlet, and there's actually a cable tie buried amongst all of this just here. Didn't get the camera to focus. So just here. So if you pick that off, you can literally get to a cable tie, cut it, which actually allows you to separate the head from the rest of the body. Now the reason you might want to do this is obviously to wash this assembly here without getting the electronics wet, or likewise if you're peroxiding the face for any reason, which brings me to my next point here. Actually, this is one that we're doing at the moment. So this is how they come apart and to what section they go down. So if you're looking, there's a little inner lip just here that it all sits on. So that just literally allows you to cut that off and obviously pull it off and do what it needs to do. And the reason I need to do it obviously on this particular doll is this on the face here. You pretty much know anything with permanent marker you can't do a great deal with. It's very hard to get off, especially on this vinyl look. So quickest way is to actually whip the head off, take it off the actual doll itself, and then we're going to actually put some hydrogen peroxide on its face and actually see if we can lighten this up to the point it vanishes. So it's just part of restoring it. So obviously looking at the body side of it, again, very much one of these things that you can take apart and you can see sort of how it's put together. So here, obviously this is where you're going to have to put a cable tie back in. You need to use something very small. Obviously they are clear when you get them, or white. It doesn't matter what colour you're going to use. You're going to need to put a stitch or two back in the actual material after you've finished to then clear it up. So it just shows you how it's sort of constructed and actually what's put together. Now, this particular body here has been washed, so that's actually ready for this to go back and mate up with it. And I've just got this one here, which is actually done from a cleaning point of view. So this one's actually done. And again, this is what we're talking about with the cable tie side of stuff. So literally you're just pulling it back up so it actually fits over this edge. So literally up and over the groove, back into where it should go. You're going to zip this cable tie up and put it in. Obviously, this is always a bit of a battle. I recommend something from a ply perspective, or sort of something like this that actually you can get on, really dig in there and pull that pull string back through. Just tie it back off at the end, but it gives you an idea obviously how they clip back together. The nice thing is obviously once you wash them, you've got to really sort of pull these about to get these back into where they should be. But once you wash them, and there is quite a difference. So this is a before and after. So you can see obviously these weren't from the same place or the same child that's played with them, but you can see just how grubby a Woody gets as time goes on. They do come up very well, do you know what I mean? So yeah, looking at the how much life it puts back into his trousers and his jeans, it just gives him a bit more lightness. Obviously stuff like these boots, you're going to have to address these marks locally. These are actually marks off of another toy. It's obviously something's rubbed up against him. Into the face work, you can do a little bit with it. You maybe have to touch up his nose and just make him look a little bit more presentable. And we sort of go from there. We've got this Woody doll here, which is getting there through the cleaning stage. So he's looking nice. Obviously his body's now been washed, his head's reattached. He's sort of getting there. So obviously looking closer, when you're actually looking really into his face, if you look around sort of here, you've got some blemishes and stuff just from over the years. He's not had the nicest life, just like any other Woody doll. They sort of start taking it. Kids swing him around. So what we tend to use is these magic eraser sponges. They are really good, obviously, when you come in to do any of these sort of vinyl toy faces. Now, it does take a degree of the surface off. They are a little bit abrasive, so you have to be careful with them. You don't want to go, obviously, jamming them and pushing them very hard. But yeah, you pick these up anywhere. I think Flash make them in the UK. there's a few companies that sort of do develop them. They've got some own brand stuff. They all work much of a much. Just be light with whatever you find that you use. So obviously looking at his face, now what I tend to do is just moisten them, so you dampen them off, and just focus on an area and just very, very lightly just rub over it. Now, as I say, you don't want to go too heavy with it, because if you go too heavy, sadly, it's you'll start taking a bit of the actual surface colouring off and making your doll look odd. So you start seeing, obviously, it's starting to go a little bit grubby on there, which is where it's taking it off. But actually, on the face of it, it's looking a hell of a lot better. If you're looking between his eyes there, you've got something there. Again, that's just a transfer mark where it's hit and actually bumped onto someone else, some other toy, perhaps, you know what I mean, throughout its life. So that should come off fairly easily. So there's a bit around the eyebrow. All of this will just really shine them up, which is quite nice. You don't realise just how grubby they do get. So just a little bit of work, just enough to bring them up and make them look a lot better than they are. So very, very little. Now you're going to get some of them that are worse than others. You get some of them that get very grubby around the eyes. Again, it brings them up very nicely. This one's not too bad, but again, in his head area, this particular wood has actually lost quite a lot of paint, sadly, on his head. But I mean, there are other ones. So I've got one here, which is a good example of it. And this is how most woodies go. So actually this, as I say, is actually transferred off of something else. So this is actually another toy, I'd imagine, which is or a fence or something, wherever they smash this thing's head into. So again, this, because it's on the surface, is actually quite easy to get off. So you hit it all day with anything that you want and nothing will budge it. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you're using, you can't get it off, or you start damaging this. This is where these are brilliant. So this will literally just hit over the surface. It will remove that surface contamination without actually doing anything to the doll at all. So just be very light with it, because you don't really want to take anything off the doll. You're just trying to take the surface contamination away from him. So there's another bit there. We take him away and he's just vanishing, which is good. Now, if you hit them too hard, and some people have a habit of going just too hard with these and really sort of pressing them, what you'll actually do is start matting up sort of his paint. You know, so they've got sort of a semi-satin sort of colour to them, obviously, when you get them. Now, obviously, you want to sort of keep that same finish. Now, if you hit them too hard, they end up going to sort of a very matte finish, and it just doesn't work. It doesn't look right. As you can see, there's a little bit there that's coming off. That's quite normal. You're going to lose a little bit along the way, sadly. But yeah, these little lines just here, I feel we could probably do a little bit more with. And you're just taking them off, and they get better and better. But as I say, just don't go too heavy with them. Now, obviously, you're going to find bits and bobs all over these dolls. Do you know what I mean? So, again, 2 seconds work, and already it looks 100 times better, which is good. So, yeah, that brings that up quite nicely. Obviously, boots are another favourite, again, for transfer, where they get dragged and kicked around. Trying to find one with a mark on it. Here we go. So, again, this is pen maybe, or something else, or something, I don't know. But let's have a go. See if we can polish them out. It very much depends on how deep they are as to how they come out. So if it's ink transfer, sadly they do penetrate a little bit. But if it's actually just where it's bashed up against something, which looks like, well, this is what this is, it does actually come off quite nicely and quite quickly. Again, same rules apply. Don't push too hard. Don't go taking the surface off. But generally, it's gone. Nice improvement very quickly. This one here is actually a first edition woody, so this is the very first ones that hit the shop. So you can see he looks all sorts of weird compared to the new ones. Obviously the new ones have got a nicer shape to them. They just look a little bit more attractive, just in general. When you start seeing them side by side, they're thinner, they're tighter. Obviously the other one's a little bit bigger. The facial expression's a little bit nicer in the new ones. They've just sort of made them all over a little bit better. Now, the things when it comes to value, obviously this one is where the value is. Obviously this is one of the very first edition ones. Now if you're looking up close, like everything else, it's had a bit of a time. So it's taken something to the face. And again, with these sponge erasers, you can just pull this straight off. So you don't want to damage anything, especially on something this old. I mean, these are probably around sort of 98, 99 these were made. And it's just straight off. So like it was never there, which is lovely. So you can really sort of pull these up. Again, the teeth, the eyes, they can all come up very quick and easy with just one of these sponge eraser products that you can buy anywhere. So yeah, you just go over it, don't press too hard, we don't take the paint off again. There we are, looking shiny. So obviously rolling into the eyes, there's nothing really too wrong with these, opposed to the fact they probably just picked up a little bit of surface contamination over the time. And again, you can sort of roll around, you can just tidy them up just a tiny bit. You don't want to go too hard. You just want to just take them around the edges and just tidy them right up. So these are mildly abrasive, and that's just something to bear in mind. Obviously, when you're doing something like this, you don't want to be taking these off and ruining your doll forever. As you can see, very quickly, very easily, it becomes a nice, pretty looking doll. The other thing that's a shame is obviously the first edition dolls didn't come with Andy printed on his foot. Obviously it did in the film, so obviously these later dolls here, Andy printed on them just plain as day. These are factory printed, pretty much everything Hasbro, Thinkway, they all sort of took it on as time went on. But the very first editions, like this one here, never had nothing on the boot, which is fantastic. However, most kids there of that age, or their mums and their dads, they all replicated the film and off they went and started writing either Andy or their kid's name just all over the foot and generally ruining the toy. So yeah, from something quite straightforward to get off, you don't want to use anything too harsh. Again, these eraser pads we're still on these and we're still using them. You just brush over them. The thing is with this particular boot, most of it's actually made out of brown, like a latex or rubber or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So that pretty much will hold its colour. You're not going to take that off, which is good. But just a bit of perseverance. You can see it's just starting to come off. As I say, it's mildly abrasive, but it shouldn't change the surface of the actual boot. So it won't change the actual texture or anything like that. As long as you don't press too hard. You just want to keep it light and keep going. But as you can see, quite quickly, it's coming off. Not changing anything. But most importantly, be gone. Back to original. Back to how it should be. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please take the time to like and subscribe.